My sister-in-law treats WaterBeads like her own son and named it Giant. Vivian, my son is sick, you have to save him. A small crack appeared inside Giant, and my sister-in-law insisted I give it an injection. She forced me to swallow a whole bucket of WaterBeads and frantically poured Coke down my throat. Hundreds of thousands of WaterBeads rapidly absorbed water, expanded, and burst my internal organs. But when my brother found out, he chose to cover for my sister-in-law. They drowned me in the reservoir and told everyone I'd married an African chieftain and would never return. I tried to bring her back to reality, telling her it's just a 5-cent water bead. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment my sister-in-law asked me to give the giant panda an injection, but the next day, the giant crack widened and it shattered into pieces. This time, I fought crazy with crazy and exclaimed, "My sister-in-law believes I intentionally caused her son's death. This giant panda has internal organ rupture. Get my brother to rush it to a major hospital for emergency treatment now." Big Mac, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me like this, honey. My sister-in-law's piercing scream echoed in my ears. As a doctor, you stood by and watched your nephew die. Now you must face the bloody vengeance of his giant siblings. The excruciating pain from my ruptured organs faded like a receding tide, leaving me dazed and disoriented. That's when I realized I had been reborn. I was reborn on the day my sister-in-law asked me to give her son, a water bead named Giant, an injection. "Vivian, my son is sick. Aren't you a doctor? Hurry up and give him a shot to save him." With tears in her eyes, my sister-in-law held up the cracked giant in front of me. This giant was a water bead my brother gave her during their first year of marriage. She's been keeping what she thought was her son in water for 3 years. And it's grown to the size of a fist. It's no surprise it split open. It was just a cheap toy after all. In my past life, my sister-in-law begged me, a fertility doctor, to give injections to that giant orb too. I seriously explained to her that the giant orb was just a water-absorbing polymer bead, not a living thing, and she shouldn't get so emotionally attached. If she really wants to raise a child, she should consider trying for a baby with my brother instead. My sister-in-law's face fell, and she turned around, stormed into her room, and slammed the door shut before bursting into tears. I thought that was the end of it, but the next morning, to her shock, she discovered that the giant in the glass tank had already shattered into countless pieces, reduced to nothing but debris. She was convinced that my refusal to seek treatment had caused the giant's condition to worsen and led to its death. My sister-in-law stormed into my room in a rage and tied me to the bed while I was still asleep. With bloodshot eyes, she pried my mouth open and forced a bucket of unhydrated water beads down my throat. "You heartless woman," I begged you in tears, "yet you still turned your back on your own nephew." Hundreds of thousands of water beads filled my esophagus, stomach, intestines, and windpipe. My sister-in-law still wasn't satisfied, so she forced an entire bottle of cola down my throat. The water beads rapidly expanded, churning violently inside me with the fizzing cola bubbles. I desperately tried to vomit, but she clamped her hand over my mouth and nose. The massively swollen water beads ruptured my stomach and other organs, causing massive internal bleeding that left me to die in agony on the bed. Pulling my thoughts back from the horrors of the past, I forcefully suppressed the hatred in my heart. Exaggeratedly covering my mouth, I exclaimed loudly, "Sis, Titan's internal organs are ruptured. It's critical. My medical skills aren't enough to save him. Call my brother right away and have him rush Titan to a major hospital for emergency treatment." "Losing your mind. Count me in." My sister-in-law was utterly panicked. "Oh my God, is it that serious? Vivian, could you drive me and the little one to the hospital now? Your brother has a meeting this afternoon and would have to rush back from the office." I snatched her phone away. While quickly dialing my brother's number and putting it to her ear, I said, "I refused. Sorry sis, my car's in the shop." "Hey, what's up, honey?" My brother's voice came through the receiver. My sister-in-law said tearfully, "Honey, Big Mac is sick. Vivian says it's internal organ rupture. Come home quick to take us to the emergency room." My brother's voice was filled with disbelief. "What the hell? Internal organ rupture? Vivian said that. If she said it, then let her deliver it. I have a meeting to get to soon." Sister-in-law's tears fell with a soft, steady patter. "Vivian said her car is in the shop for repairs." Then call an ambulance, or book a ride-hailing car." I cut in immediately. "Bro, I just called an ambulance. The operator said if we're sick we should get treatment, but not to waste precious medical resources. There are over 100 people in the ride-hailing queue. It's pouring rain outside. Expect to wait more than 2 hours." At this, my sister-in-law burst into even more violent sobs, wailing, "No, I can't bear it. Our little champ can't wait 2 whole hours. Honey, please come home right now. What meeting could possibly be more important than our son?" Of course, my brother couldn't just drop the meeting. After giving my sister-in-law a few half-hearted words of reassurance, I hung up the phone and didn't return until evening. As a doctor, You stood by and watched your nephew die, now you must face the bloody vengeance of his giant siblings. Just then, my sister-in-law came back holding a giant burger. The moment she saw my brother, she started pounding his chest angrily with her little fists. It's all your fault, as the father, you didn't come with us to the hospital or back me up, and now the nurses think I'm crazy. The ER refused to admit Big Mac. What am I supposed to do now? Sobbing. My brother frowned anxiously while explaining he simply couldn't get away, all the while shooting me an accusatory glare. He was demanding to know why I'd claimed Big Mac had internal injuries and indulged my sister-in-law's hysterics, disrupting his work. I shrugged and mouthed in response, what else could I do? You're the one who said we have to indulge my sister-in-law's childish whims no matter what, in our past life. He said this to me all the time. My sister-in-law was constantly acting out, either making me mix nutritional supplements for her giant stuffed animal with baby formula, or demanding I buy clothes and toys for it while shopping. 5. Even during holidays, she expects me to give WaterBeads huge red envelopes. Every time I complain to my brother about my sister-in-law being unreasonable, he always scolds me harshly. What's wrong with you? Don't you know your sister-in-law has been an orphan since childhood? Her childish temper is indeed a bit odd, but with our parents gone so early, as her sister-in-law and the only in-law family she has, can't you just cut her some slack? Asking you to buy a toy or give a red envelope is like pulling teeth. Every time my sister-in-law acts up, I'm the one who ends up dealing with the trouble, not him. He doesn't have to pay for the toys, and the red envelope money ends up in his pocket anyway. So naturally he doesn't care about my opinion. On top of that, even though my sister-in-law is a bit unhinged, she's genuinely beautiful, so he never scolds or corrects her. In fact, he finds it amusing and thinks it adds some flavor to their life. I will never forget this. When he came home from his morning run and found my gruesome corpse in the bedroom, he just clicked his tongue in mild annoyance. Then he anxiously took my sister-in-law, who had sudden abdominal pain, to the hospital. When they found out she was pregnant, he was so overjoyed he kept spinning around while hugging the very person who murdered me. Without a moment's hesitation, they sank my body into the reservoir. They even fabricated a story about me having a black boyfriend, telling all our friends and family that I'd stubbornly gone to Africa to become a tribal chief's wife. I would never return to my homeland again. I always believed my brother was my only living relative in this world. He wanted to upgrade to a bigger apartment for marriage, and I was willing to use all my savings to help him trade his parents' work unit housing for a spacious flat. He didn't have money for renovations, so I took out a $500,000 loan in my own name for him to use. His salary wasn't high, and his wife didn't have a job, so I used my entire monthly income to support the household, but I never imagined that giving my all would lead to such an ending. At that thought, I dug my nails deep into my palm, forcing down the surge of anger within me. Feigning sudden realization, I pointed at the giant structure and exclaimed, "Quick, come look, the crack in the colossus is right at the central core." It just hit me, this might not be an internal rupture, it could be. I looked at my brother, hesitating to speak. My sister-in-law asked urgently, what could it be? Is there still hope to save it? I let out an exaggerated sigh and said, perhaps because he was always busy with work. The father figure hadn't spoken a word to Giant for days. Giant, who had long been deprived of paternal love, was utterly heartbroken. I noticed my brother's mouth twitch. My sister-in-law's playful punches grew even more fierce. It's all your fault, poor Big Mac, waiting so desperately for your love. His heart is completely broken. How can there be such an irresponsible father like you in this world? My brother gritted his teeth and glared at me, then quickly softened his tone to comfort my sister-in-law, seizing the chance to steer the conversation toward having a baby. Oh, it's fine, if Big Mac is gone, we can just have another baby, a little brother for him. My sister-in-law was sobbing uncontrollably. No, if Giant is gone, I don't want to live anymore as his mother. I seized the moment to tell my sister-in-law, don't worry, sis, Giant's condition is psychological for now and not too serious. Just make sure he feels more paternal warmth and care. My sister-in-law suddenly understood, grabbed my brother by the collar, and ordered, you, don't come back to the room to sleep tonight. Stay by Jumbo's side and take care of him all night long, until he gets better tomorrow. My brother pushed her away. How is this even possible? I have to work tomorrow. What's more important, your job or me and our son? You clearly don't love us. I'm taking him and leaving right now. My sister-in-law froze for a few seconds, then made a move to start packing her suitcase. My brother hurriedly stopped her. All right, I'll stay awake and keep an eye on the big guy all night. Okay, stop making a scene. It took my brother quite a while to coax his wife back to their room and calm her down. Once he confirmed she'd closed the door, he turned and shot me a furious glare. What the hell are you stirring up trouble for? Your sister-in-law loves role-playing games. Are you having some kind of episode too? You're making my life miserable every single day. I was laughing inside, but I could only shrug helplessly. What else can I do, man? If I tell her that Big Mac is beyond saving and she should just get rid of it, she'll definitely threaten to kill herself. If she dies, who's going to have your kids? Better to just feed her some nonsense to keep her calm for now. It's just one sleepless night. Suck it up and deal with it. Before, my sister-in-law always drove me crazy, but my brother never had to lift a finger. He'd casually tell me to just put up with it. Now that she's pestering him, do you think he can stay so calm? Absolutely not. In my past life, after I died, my spirit drifted back home and overheard my brother on the phone with his dubious friends. That's when I found out the Big Mac didn't break on its own. It was because my sister-in-law treated it like her own son and refused to have a child with my brother, fearing it would steal her affection. So every time my brother saw the Big Mac, it grated on him. He couldn't stand the sight of it and eventually sneaked up in the middle of the night to crush it. Now my sister-in-law specifically demanded that he keep watch over the colossus all night. He agreed on the surface, but in reality, he was snoring like a chainsaw before 4 a.m. While he was asleep, I tossed a ladle of salted hot water into the colossus's glass tank. 5. Watching cracks slowly form on the colossus's surface, a cold smirk crept across my lips. My sister-in-law is going to kill someone when she sees this tomorrow morning. The next morning, my sister-in-law's cries echoed throughout the living room. My Big Mac, what happened to you? My brother, who was sleeping on the couch, jolted awake. The Big Mac on the coffee table has cracked. What started as a tiny internal crack has now spread into 4 or 5 large fractures across the whole sphere, looking like it could shatter any moment. My sister-in-law was wailing and blaming my brother for being careless about their son, as he was sound asleep. That made the Big Mac even more heartbroken. My brother, with dark circles under his eyes, explained helplessly, I wasn't being careless, I pushed through until after 5 a.m., but I was just so exhausted I needed to rest my eyes for a moment. Who would have thought? My sister-in-law completely ignored his explanation, crying as she lightly pounded his chest with her fists. My brother frowned tightly, looking as if he had reached his breaking point and was about to explode. I thought, no way, I'm not done having fun yet. I quickly grabbed my sister-in-law's hand and said, Sis, you've got my brother all wrong. The giant is fine. The crack on its chest has already healed. It's not healed, it's just that the outside is so badly cracked you can't see inside anymore. My brother and his wife froze in unison. After a long pause, they finally managed to blurt out, but how did its surface crack like this? Isn't this even worse? I patted my chest and made a firm promise. She's pregnant and expecting a baby. That's why she has all these stretch marks on her belly. My sister-in-law froze for a few seconds. Then her worry instantly turned to delight. Really? But isn't Big Mac a boy? I fought back the urge to burst out laughing and explained with a straight face, WaterBeads are gender-neutral creatures. If they choose to reproduce, they can produce many offspring within a month. My sister-in-law excitedly shook my brother's arm. That's wonderful. So our family is about to have new additions. Did you hear that? Honey, we're going to be grandparents. Now Biggie needs you more than ever. You must take good care of it from now on, so our precious grandchild can be born safely. Seeing his reluctant expression and sour face, the sister-in-law's smile instantly vanished. You don't want to take care of our grandchild, do you? The brother was at a complete loss for words, his hands trembling with anger. Like hell I'll take care of it. Already seething with resentment, the older brother who'd pulled an all-nighter finally snapped. He lifted the massive glass tank and smashed it to pieces. The sister-in-law let out a shriek and lunged at him, scratching and biting. Her brother slapped her for the first time too. Are you out of your mind? You're treating it like it's your own son. Get a grip. It's just a 5-cent water bead. Why does that sound so much like what I said in my past life? Seeing them start to fight, I quickly slipped outside using an emergency house call as an excuse. Then I checked the surveillance footage from the hidden camera I'd installed. If my sister-in-law could channel the same intense hatred she had for me in our past life and finish off my brother in one go, I'd consider my revenge complete. On the screen, my brother was absolutely furious. He stomped the shattered remains of the giant burger into mush. What the hell kind of son is this? What family has a son that's just a blob of goo? It's absolutely disgusting. Rosalie, I'm telling you today, either you give me a son like a good wife, or pack your bags and get out. I won't keep a hen that doesn't lay eggs. My sister-in-law screamed hysterically. You murderer, how could you be so heartless and cold-blooded? You killed the giant goldfish we raised together for 3 years with your own hands. Big Mac is the only son I'll ever acknowledge. I'm never having another child, so get that idea out of your head for good. Though their argument grew heated, they didn't come to blows this time. Watching this made me incredibly anxious. In the end, My sister-in-law clutched the nearly crushed Big Mac burger while sobbing hysterically, and my furious brother stormed off to a hotel with a few pieces of clothing. Seeing that the first plan didn't take them all out, I rushed back home in a hurry. Vivian, the Big Macs are almost all smashed to bits. What on earth should I do? My sister-in-law grabbed my hand as if I were her saving grace. I gave it a quick once-over, talked her into going to the pharmacy for some rubbing alcohol, and then pulled out the pre-prepared bubble beads. Then I casually crushed the Big Mac into pieces. When my sister-in-law returned, I pretended to be heartbroken and told her, "Sis, the Big Mac successfully gave birth to 18 little ones, but it was too weak and completely fell apart." I took out an exquisite box. "This is the urn I prepared for Jumbo as his aunt. Please give him a proper burial." My sister-in-law sobbed as she poured milk into a glass jar and placed 18 water beads inside. Then she set up a small memorial altar for Jumbo on the coffee table. "We're going to hold a funeral for him at home." I stood aside, silently giving a thumbs up in my mind. I knew she was crazy, but I never imagined she could be this unhinged. My sister-in-law called and texted my brother, urging him to come back and see the giant panda one last time. Of course, my brother paid no attention. I proactively suggested to her, "Sis, my brother is really upset right now. He's definitely being stubborn and won't answer our calls, but after all, Titan is his son. If he misses the chance to see him one last time because of this, he'll regret it forever. Here's an idea, live stream the funeral online and tag him, he'll definitely watch it." My sister-in-law totally agreed. She propped her phone on the coffee table at the perfect angle, tagged my brother, and started live streaming a funeral for the giant burger. Hosting a funeral for WaterBeads was already mind-blowing enough. 5. On top of that, I secretly spent over 10,000 yuan to boost her livestream with targeted promotion. Her livestream quickly hit the trending list. Hundreds of thousands of spectators are watching live, with comment streams flooding the screen. I've truly seen it all now. Holding a funeral for WaterBeads. What kind of carbon-based life form does something like this? Wow. She even tagged WaterBeads' dad so the guy could see his child one last time. Is this not something only a mentally unwell person would do? This woman must be out of her mind, treating WaterBeads like her own son. Insane. Most netizens are just here for the drama, but a few well-off netizens with time to spare let their sympathy get the better of them and send over a few virtual gifts. Is WaterBeads' dad around? I'll pay. Get your wife to a mental hospital, now. What kind of trauma could drive someone this insane? Stop the pity party and get some help already. My sister-in-law was so focused on saying her final goodbyes to the giant robot that she completely missed the barrage of comments flooding the screen. After the live stream ended, she was baffled to discover she'd gained hundreds of thousands of followers and earned nearly 100,000 yuan from that single broadcast. Little did she know she had become the internet's newest certified crazy person in everyone's eyes. The video went so viral that most of my brother's coworkers came across it, and they all started mocking him for having a mentally unstable wife. Furious, my brother stormed home from the hotel that very night, after slapping my sister-in-law hard enough to make her lip bleed. He kicked over a glass jar filled with 18 water beads. He stomped them viciously into a sticky, pulverized mess. What the hell is wrong with you? Are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea I've become a laughingstock across the internet? Everyone's mocking me for marrying a lunatic, ignoring the pain. My sister-in-law threw herself on the ground, wailing hysterically at the pile of shattered debris. Overwhelmed by extreme agitation, she actually passed out. Just like in her past life, my sister-in-law was found to be 2 months pregnant. Despite consistently taking birth control pills, she fell victim to that small percentage failure rate. Her brother was over the moon finally having the child he'd longed for. He completely forgot how his wife's livestream had made him a laughingstock, instantly reverting to his old accommodating and gentle self. He attended to his wife at her bedside, bringing her tea and water. But my sister-in-law held a grudge against him for crushing the 18 children of the giant robot. And every time she'd turn her head away and ignore him, my brother, with pent-up anger and nowhere to vent it, found me while I was boiling water. He kicked me square in the lower back. "This is all your damn fault, spouting nonsense about that giant robot having kids. You've made your sister-in-law even crazier." The kettle in my hand shattered across the floor, sending glass shards and scalding water flying. My exposed calves were left red, swollen, and bleeding. The pain so sharp it made me gasp, but my brother acted as if he hadn't seen it and issued me an order. "Go talk some sense into your sister-in-law right now, or get out of this house. I don't want to see your face annoying me any longer." The obstetrician said that my sister-in-law had taken too many birth control pills, which disrupted her endocrine system. The fetus isn't developing properly, and she needs to be hospitalized immediately for pregnancy preservation, otherwise. A miscarriage could happen at any moment. My sister-in-law was too upset to stay in the hospital, which naturally worried my brother. Ignoring my own injury, I went into the room to console her under my brother's insistent gaze. "Sis, please don't be so heartbroken. Giant and her little ones wouldn't want to see you like this, even if we assume the worst, that your brother really did kill Big Mac and the little ones. There's nothing you can do to avenge them, after all. He's the father of the child you're carrying." At the word killer, my sister-in-law's grip on the blanket tightened almost imperceptibly. When she heard avenge, a dark resolve hardened in her eyes, swirling with bottomless hatred. I pretended not to see it. Before leaving, I placed 2 large deluxe packs of WaterBeads on her nightstand. "Sis, if you really miss Jumbo and the others, why not get some of its siblings? Don't stay so down all the time. It's not good for you or the baby." After saying this, I used the excuse of going to the community clinic to treat my wound to step out, leaving only my brother and his wife alone at home. While the nurse was applying the medicine, I checked the real-time home surveillance and saw that my sister-in-law finally started talking to my brother. She was acting cute and just like she usually does, blindfolded my brother, tied his hands and feet with adult game restraints, and bound him to the bed. Then opened those 2 packs of WaterBeads from the nightstand. My brother was initially laughing happily, but after his wife poured the first pack of WaterBeads into him, he immediately started gagging. "Ugh, honey, what is this?" Gag. His sister-in-law pried his mouth open with one hand while shoving the regurgitated WaterBead back in with the other. Her voice was chillingly eerie. "These are the big guy's brothers and sisters. You irresponsible father. Not only did you cause Jumbo's death during childbirth, but you also crushed the baby she gave her life to bring into this world. Now you must face the bloody vengeance of Jumbo's siblings." The brother's eyes widened in terror, straining with all his might to break free from the handcuffs and shackles while desperately vomiting up the WaterBeads from his stomach. The sister-in-law clamped her hand over his mouth, her eyes filled with grim determination. "A father who caused his own child's death doesn't deserve to live." His brother's face turned a deep, purplish red. Just before losing consciousness completely, he summoned a surge of strength, snapped the handcuffs, and flung his sister-in-law off the bed. I thought to myself in disbelief, "Ugh, sex toys really are useless. They're nowhere near as effective as the nylon rope my sister-in-law used to tie me up in my past life." On the surveillance footage, I saw my brother suddenly sit up, frantically gagging to vomit a large amount of WaterBeads while dialing 120 for emergency help. My sister-in-law clutched her stomach, writhing in pain as she curled into a ball on the floor. A large pool of blood spread beneath her. Soon after, I received a call from the hospital. The emotional distress combined with the abdominal impact had caused her to lose the baby, now sedated by the hospital, sleeping peacefully. Although my brother vomited some WaterBeads, most of them have caused a severe intestinal obstruction. He had part of his intestine removed and was absolutely furious upon hearing the child was gone. "Damn it, how did I end up marrying such a lunatic? Vivian, call the police now. That bitch tried to kill me. It's attempted murder and she won't get away with it." 5. Now that the baby's gone, I'm not just divorcing her, I'm putting her behind bars. I slid my sister-in-law's psychiatric evaluation across the table to him. "Bro, right now you probably can't get a divorce, and you definitely can't send your wife to jail, because she's just plain crazy." My brother was stunned. Ever since my rebirth, I've always known my sister-in-law was mentally ill. She used to treat WaterBeads like her own son. Her bizarre behavior and words were beyond my comprehension at the time, but there are indeed some people whose behavior is truly baffling in real life. So it never crossed my mind that it could be a mental health issue. It wasn't until after my death in my previous life, when I was bound to my brother and sister-in-law for several months, I witnessed with my own eyes how my sister-in-law, after watching a video about placenta nourishing the fetus, went to great lengths to swallow a pack of WaterBeads, kept muttering incessantly, "Little brothers and sisters of the Big Mac, hurry into mommy's womb to absorb nutrients and grow up quickly." That's when I knew. My sister-in-law is absolutely a mentally ill person with cognitive impairment. This time around, I stopped trying to correct her and instead went along with her words and indulged her behavior. I gradually deepened the conflict between her and my brother. Unfortunately, a shoddy pair of novelty handcuffs ruined this step of my plan. While my brother was hospitalized for surgery, I brought my sister-in-law back home. My sister-in-law truly treated the Big Mac as her own son. Even after her miscarriage, it was all she could remember. As soon as she got home, she enshrined the Big Mac box on the altar, ignoring the smoke alarm beeping incessantly, and offered incense and burned paper in its memory every day. All she wished for was that the tragically deceased Big Mac would find peace in the afterlife. I have to admit, her condition is getting worse, but that's exactly what I wanted. I never told my brother about his wife's behavior at home. My brother has a mentally ill wife, and because of surgery, he missed a major company deal and received a termination notice in the hospital. He absolutely detests his mentally unstable wife. While still in his hospital bed, he contacted a lawyer to file for divorce on the day my brother was discharged from the hospital. I deliberately made up a business trip excuse to avoid picking him up. I let him take a taxi home by himself. If my calculations were correct, the moment he arrived home, my sister-in-law would be burning joss paper for the deceased. Sure enough, as soon as my brother opened the door, he saw the house filled with smoke. Looking down and seeing the memorial tablet, incense, and joss paper my sister-in-law had set up for Giant, I completely lost it. I'm going to fucking kill you. All the pent-up rage from before had nowhere to go. And on top of that, my sister-in-law had lost the baby. My brother was already seething with anger, and the sight before him pushed him over the edge. He exploded like a raging beast, ignoring his unhealed abdominal wound, and swung the cleaver wildly at his sister-in-law. The sister-in-law screamed and backed away, trying to block with her hands, but was soon drenched in blood and could no longer lift them. Sensing her life was in danger, she too turned ferocious. Seizing the moment when her brother's cleaver was stuck in the cabinet and temporarily irretrievable, she grabbed the ashtray and smashed it hard against the back of her brother's head. Minutes later, her sister-in-law's face was slashed open by her brother, with deep gashes and flesh torn open, a truly horrifying sight. Blood gushed relentlessly from the gaping wound on her neck. Within seconds, her sister-in-law drew her last breath, her eyes wide with unresolved fury. The brother collapsed weakly onto the sofa, the hair at the back of his head and the clothes on his abdomen completely soaked with blood. Clearly, the knife wound had torn open during the struggle, causing excessive blood loss. He struggled to pick up his phone to dial 120, but his hand went limp and dropped helplessly after dialing the first digit. I stared at the two lifeless bodies on the screen. I pretended to panic and dialed the emergency number. Officer, something terrible has happened. I just saw my brother and his wife fighting on our home security feed. It looks like they're both dead now. I was just strolling around the neighborhood, and I made it home in under 5 minutes. Before the police arrived, I removed the hidden cameras from the bedroom and kitchen, leaving only the family monitor in the living room. But when I came back after tossing the cameras in the trash, I was met with a chilling scene. My brother, covered in blood, he sat on the couch, glaring at me with a sinister gaze. Vivian, bet you didn't see this coming. I've been reborn too. I felt the blood in my veins turn to ice. I stood frozen in place, so stunned that I forgot to run even as my first instinct. It wasn't until my brother tackled me, viciously grabbing my head and slamming it against the wall, that I desperately started to struggle. Vivian, you bitch, you set me up on purpose. No wonder you suddenly went against your usual self and joined your sister-in-law in this madness. It's because you've been reborn. Wouldn't it have been better to just die quietly like you did in your last life? Why did you have to drag me down with you? I never forgot about the security camera in the living room, so I refused to admit the reincarnation thing no matter what. Bro, what are you talking about? I don't get it. What do you mean by screwing you over on purpose? What reincarnation? Let me go already, you're gonna beat me to death. His brother's eyes were bloodshot, and his tone was downright chilling. If you hadn't been reborn, you should have told your sister-in-law to ignore that bead nonsense instead of spouting crap about organ ruptures needing emergency care, daddy issues breaking hearts, or childbirth. Do you think I'm stupid? Dying once wasn't enough to see through your tricks. 5. You're fucking sending your sister-in-law after me on purpose. I clenched my teeth and put on an innocent act, mentally counting the seconds. I knew the police station was just 3 kilometers away. They'd be here any moment. Bro, what's wrong with you? Did killing your wife mess with your head? You're scaring me. My brother's veins bulged in fury as he saw I still refused to admit it. Won't confess? Fine. I've already killed one person anyway. One more won't make a difference. You can take the fall for me. You just die. My brother suddenly grabbed my throat, his grip tightening relentlessly. I couldn't breathe, yet no matter how I struggled, I couldn't break free from his grasp. I could only feel that familiar suffocating sensation, slowly eating away at my remaining consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was already lying in a hospital bed. The female officer accompanying me said, "Miss Vivian, don't worry. The doctor said you only have a mild concussion and minor scrapes. You'll be discharged tomorrow." I stretched my body and quickly asked, "Where's my brother?" The moment I got home, I saw him covered in blood, muttering nonsense. Then he suddenly lunged at me trying to kill me. I was terrified. The policewoman comforted me. "Your brother Kyle suffered a head injury with a ruptured wound. He's currently recovering in room 1404 of this hospital, but don't worry, we have someone watching him 24/7. But, ever since your sister-in-law woke up, she's been insisting on seeing you. I was stunned, completely in disbelief. The policewoman also looked utterly astonished. It's unbelievable. Your sister-in-law was struck in a major artery and had lost over a third of her blood volume. By the time we arrived, she had clearly stopped breathing. Right after the medical team pronounced her dead, she suddenly opened her eyes and sat up from the ground, despite losing so much blood. She woke up full of energy and vitality. The policewoman remarked that it was a medical miracle. Only I know that my sister-in-law has also been reborn. Does fate really have to be this fair, giving each of us a second chance? I sighed, handed the video of my brother and sister-in-law trying to kill each other to the police, and then went to visit her in the hospital, since my brother tried to kill her first. Her self-defense was justified. There was no police officer guarding her. The first thing she said to me was, "In your eyes, is the Big Mac just a 50-cent Orbeez bead? Was the Big Mac's heartbreak, its pregnancy, and giving me 18 grandchildren all just lies you've been feeding me all along? I trusted you so much. How could you betray my feelings?" I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I thought she'd be nothing but trouble after being reborn. Who would have guessed, even after rebirth, she's still got the same unhinged mind from her past life. Well, if she's mentally ill, that actually simplifies things. I told her honestly that the Big Mac was just a toy in my brother's and my eyes. If it weren't for my brother telling me to play dumb and humor her, I'd never say such ridiculous things that even I can't stand to hear. In our previous life, my brother found it annoying and got up in the middle of the night to crush it. The damn thing finally broke on its own, and my brother was thrilled. He even complained it didn't happen sooner. Since he never treated it like his own child anyway, why should I care about it? When my brother kept complaining, I was tempted to just flush it down the toilet. The more she scowled, the more fired up I got. My brother said even elementary school kids know WaterBeads are just toys. Only a lunatic like you would treat them like treasure. What kind of pathetic funeral is this? Incense and memorial tablets. That lump of plastic doesn't deserve any of it. Finally, I made sure to tell her. My brother is recovering in room 1404. Don't you dare disturb him. He wants nothing to do with you. Before leaving, I saw that murderous glint in her eyes again, the one that vowed vengeance for Big Mac's death. The following night, my brother deliberately tore open his freshly stitched wound. As the medical staff wheeled him into the operating room, he seized the chance to knock out the doctor and escape. While being chased by police to another floor, he accidentally ran into his sister-in-law, who is there scouting the place to kill him. In a fit of rage, my sister-in-law stabbed an identical wound in his neck with a shard of glass. This time, my brother was dead for good, no coming back. When the police took me to the morgue to claim the body, I couldn't hold back my tears. They were tears of joy. After claiming the body, I immediately had the funeral home take it away for cremation, having learned from the last time. I naturally had to prevent him from suddenly springing back to life and telling me he was reborn, burned to ashes, then flushed down the drain. Safe and eco-friendly, my sister-in-law had already been widely recognized online as mentally unstable due to her live streaming of the funeral. On top of that, there's now a malicious homicide case. I worked with the police to have her involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital in the remote suburbs. While the state covers medical expenses for mentally ill offenders, I don't believe my sister-in-law deserves to use public resources. What's more, I'd already obtained her phone's lock screen and payment passwords through surveillance, so with a few taps, I transferred all the earnings from her live-streamed funeral for Giant to the psychiatric hospital. After all, netizens donated that money hoping she'd get treatment for her condition. In my view, my sister-in-law is far from innocent. Although she's not mentally sound and lacks full legal capacity, but the moment someone crosses her or says the wrong thing, she goes after people like she's slicing watermelons. She acts without regard for consequences, brutal and terrifying, completely devoid of human empathy. She'll spend the rest of her life chained to a hospital bed. It's practically a gift to society. As for me, I inherited my brother's luxury apartment and commuter car, along with full access to his bank savings. I liquidated all his assets into millions. 5. I've taken a long annual leave from work and plan to fully unwind on the Seychelles Islands, lounging under magnificent palm trees by the azure sea, soaking up the sunshine, celebrating this new chapter of my life, reborn from this moment onward. Story 2. In my past life, I was sent to the divine realm alongside my elder sister, the imperial princess. For a political marriage, my sister Wood, the fire god, bore a sacred Chilan beast and helped him ascend the divine throne. Yet when the water god took me as his bride, I failed to conceive a divine beast. Blaming me for his lost throne, he murdered me in cold blood, ripping out my heart and crushing the nascent spirit of our unborn sacred child. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of the arranged marriage. This time, the water deity went to great lengths to court favor and successfully won the hand of the imperial princess. He believed he too could sire the auspicious Chelan beast and reclaim the throne by defeating the fire god. Little did he know, my essence is that of the nine heavens' mystic flame. With the fire god Jemha, we could conceive the legendary primordial beast, the mystic phoenix, a rarity seen once in 10,000 years. On the day the celestials chose their brides, all three realms rejoiced. It was a grand celebration, yet for me, the most insignificant princess of the demon realm, there was nothing but sorrow in my eyes. I stood in line with princesses from the spirit and demon realms, watching as the lofty celestial lord gazed down upon us with detached scrutiny. The two spirit realm princesses nearby couldn't help whispering to each other, "The water god truly lives up to his reputation, peerless in grace and elegance." Personally, I find the fire god more dashing and majestic, with truly divine bearing. Oh, you don't know, the fire god is notoriously hot-tempered, while the water god is universally acknowledged as a refined gentleman, gentle, cultured, and virtuous. Any celestial maiden who could marry him would be the luckiest soul in all realms. Beside me, my royal sister Lyra, the demon realm's eldest princess, instinctively glanced at the water god Saren upon hearing this, her cheeks flushing crimson with sudden bashfulness. Yet the corners of my lips curled into a scornful sneer, my heart turning to ice. In my past life, I'd believed the same. Born to the humblest concubine in the Demon King's harem, my lowly status stemmed solely from my mother's peerless beauty, the fleeting favor that granted her the title of consort and brought me into this world. It was precisely this face of mine that caught water god Saren's eye during the divine consort selection in my past life, making me his chosen bride amidst universal envy. The divine emperor had 4 sons, the water god, flower god, spirit god, and fire god. My elder sister, the demon realm's crown princess, had always adored the water god. To everyone's surprise, he chose me instead, forcing her into a reluctant marriage with the fire god. After the wedding, I experienced the most blissful period of my life. Just as the rumors said, Saren was gentle and kind, showering me with meticulous care and affection. Back then, I thought my hardships were finally over and I'd found my soulmate. Little did I know this marked the beginning of my descent into hell. It all began a year later. My sister, who married the fire god Cassius, became pregnant and later gave birth to a Chelan, a celestial omen unseen for millennia. The emperor was overjoyed, showering the little Chelan with affection. His fondness even extended to the fire god, whom he'd previously disliked. Now viewing him in a new light, yet my womb remained stubbornly silent. Gradually, Saren changed. He grew impatient with me, his gaze turning colder by the day. They even forced me to take forbidden elixirs, all to hasten the birth of an auspicious beast. But as the water deity, his divine essence is in nature, my mother was a golden-feathered peacock, and though I now lack a divine core, I could still feel our profound incompatibility. For a full century under Saren's coercion, I consumed countless forbidden elixirs and performed innumerable dark rituals, yet conception remained impossible. At last, the divine sovereign's patience ran out. On the day the young Chelan turned 100, the fire god Cassius was crowned emperor, inheriting the celestial throne. That same day, Saren returned from the coronation ceremony and tore open my chest with his bare hands, ripping out my heart and lungs. The next instant, I saw the fully formed divine beast spirit glowing within my womb. With my dying breath, I clutched desperately at the hem of Saren's robe, begging, "Please, my life doesn't matter, but save our child." But Saren kicked me away viciously, clutching the divine beast's essence with a sinister sneer. "Cassius has claimed the throne. What use is this bastard now? Die together." As the words faded, I watched helplessly as he mercilessly crushed my fully formed child. My poor child never even got to open his eyes before his own father took his life with his bare hands, and with my child's last breath, my very soul shattered into oblivion. Never did I imagine I'd be reborn, let alone return to this very day of the divine consort selection. A tidal wave of hatred turned my fingers ice cold as I fixed Saren with a glacial stare, yet to my surprise, he did the exact opposite of his previous life. His gaze fell upon my rather plain-looking elder sister. In that instant, everything became clear. He had been reborn too. Today, fair maidens from the realms of spirits and demons have come to our divine kingdom seeking marriage. My 4 princes may choose freely. Whomever you select, your emperor father shall grant his blessing. After the emperor spoke these words, the other 3 princes remained motionless, as the water god Saren was the emperor's firstborn, though no crown prince had been officially named. His status inherently differed from his younger brothers. Thus in this consort selection, Saren should naturally have first choice. In our past life, Saren also chose first. He took one look at me and knew I was the one, yet in this lifetime, he didn't even glance my way, walking straight past me to my royal sister Lyra. "Father, my heart already belongs to another. I wish to marry Princess Lyra of the demon realm." The assembly gasped. Among the 3 realms, celestial, spirit, and demon, the demon realm ranked lowest. What's more, The spirit realm boasted countless beauties, and my sister's looks were unremarkable among its celestial maidens. Even the emperor frowned with doubt. "Saren, are you certain about this?" Saren nodded calmly. "Yes, father, my mind is made up." The elder princess was overjoyed. This was nothing short of a God-sent fortune to her. Without the slightest hesitation, she immediately grasped Saren's outstretched hand, her delight written plainly across her face. Only then did Saren turn to glance at me with feigned nonchalance, her eyes filled with such scorn and contempt that it pierced my heart like a blade, dredging up memories as excruciating as scraping bone from flesh. My fists clenched so tightly they trembled, barely containing the seething hatred that made me want to charge at him in mutual destruction. Suddenly, a warm hand grasped my wrist with unexpected force. Instinctively turning, I found myself staring into fathomless dark eyes. The breathtaking deity in black robes flashed a roguish smile, raising my captured wrist high as he proclaimed in a ringing voice, "I want her." A collective gasp swept through the room. If all the celestial maidens here were ranked, I'd undoubtedly be at the bottom. Years of spiritual depletion have dimmed my aura, making me far from an ideal cultivation partner. This face is literally my only redeeming quality. No one expected the arrogant fire god Cassius would actually choose me. He even broke protocol to claim me before his two elder brothers. The emperor couldn't fathom what had gotten into his sons today, both acting completely out of character. Before he could utter a word, Saren's face darkened. "Cassius, don't say I didn't warn you as your elder brother. Marrying this spiritually weak, unworthy demon realm commoner will be a regret you'll rue too late." My chest tightened as I tried to speak, but Cassius' hand slid down to clasp mine firmly. His smiling eyes met mine as he chuckled softly. "Elder brother, just focus on your own celestial partner. There's no need to trouble yourself with my affairs. I've taken a liking to this demon realm commoner. Whether her spirit is weak or she lacks immortal roots, this deity finds her utterly charming. I've decided she shall be mine." My heart stirred with an inexplicable pang of sorrow. No one has ever stood up for me so resolutely in front of so many people, speaking on my behalf and taking my side without hesitation. Why would Cassius treat me so kindly when we've only just met? It wasn't just me, everyone present was stunned. No one expected the fire god to openly clash with the water god over some minor noble girl from the demon realm. The divine queen covered her mouth with a chuckle, gracefully diffusing the awkward tension. "My lord, let it be. Cassius has always been this way. If this pleases him, we shall settle it thus." Cassius, the god of fire, was the late-born son of the divine emperor and empress, who doted on him beyond measure, and so, with the empress's words, the marriage arrangement was firmly sealed. Saren shot me a displeased glance before leaving, letting out a scornful laugh. "Cassius, who do you think would want such an insignificant wretch? Mark my words, within a century, you'll come to loathe her with every fiber of your being. I'll be waiting for the day regret reduces you to tears." The emperor's 4 sons each took 2 brides, one from the spirit realm and another from the demon realm, bringing joy to both worlds. My royal sister and I returned to the demon realm to await our weddings. On my wedding day, Princess Lyra deliberately came to my chamber, sneering at my pitifully meager dowry. "Blaze, today marks our wedding day. Though we're both marrying divine lords, a bastard daughter remains a bastard. Low-born will always be low-born. Know this well, I'm wedding the future emperor, while you're bound to that hot-tempered, petulant brat. If you ever suffer in the divine realm, don't come crying to me. I'd hate to be bothered." I watched Lyra's sycophantic antics with cold amusement, smirking inwardly. "Dear sister, may you never taste the bitterness I endured in my past life, too, a century from now. May you still laugh while recalling these words." On that auspicious day, I entered the divine realm in marriage alongside my elder sister. As the firstborn, Saren's ceremonial grandeur naturally surpassed all others. My sister's mile-long bridal procession was truly magnificent. The entire demon realm marveled at her celestial ascension, whispering how she might become the future divine empress and bring prosperity to our people. Gazing up at my sister seated beside Saren atop the divine beast, I felt not a trace of envy. In my past life, I had witnessed such a scene before. Back then, I naively believed Saren truly cherished me, imagining we'd share a harmonious marriage of mutual respect. Yet within mere centuries, we met a gruesome end. Mother and child perished without intact remains. As I stood transfixed, an obsidian dragon suddenly materialized across the demon realm's sky. The dragon's roar shook heaven and earth, piercing through the highest heavens. The demon realm erupted in shock. Only when the divine dragon landed before me and transformed into human form did the crowd realize this obsidian-scaled beast was Cassius' true form. Clad in a black robe embroidered with crimson gold threads, Cassius seized my waist and pulled me flush against his chest. Then, to everyone's astonishment, he planted a firm kiss right on my cheek. "Forget these empty formalities, come with me." The next moment, The ground vanished beneath my feet as Cassius swept me into his arms, carrying me straight to the celestial realm before the astonished gaze of the entire demon world. Saren and Lyra were completely upstaged, though I remained oblivious to this in that moment. As the imperial couple's favorite, Cassius resided in the glazed palace, the most serene and exquisite dwelling in all the celestial realm. Boasting scenery unmatched throughout creation, Cassius brought me back and said, "Blaze, this will be your home from now on." My heart ached with sudden bitterness. I hadn't had a home since my mother's passing. The Cassius before me wasn't nearly as domineering as the legends made him out to be. I remembered in my past life, whenever he appeared with Princess Lyra, he always seemed distracted and impatient. There were even rumors among celestial maidens that my elder sister's swift conception of the fire god's child involved certain amorous enchantments, though at the time I was too preoccupied with my own troubles to spare much thought for Cassius and my sister's relationship. I'd always assumed Cassius would be difficult to get along with, but reality proved otherwise. He stood taller and more striking than Saren, with obsidian eyes that gleamed whenever they met mine, almost as if he'd been gazing at me like this for ages. My cheeks flushed crimson as Cassius chuckled, tilting my chin with his fingers. Suddenly, a divine scout's voice echoed from beyond the door. "Lord of Flames, the Tau beast has escaped from Gueshu. The Heavenly Emperor requests your immediate presence." It suddenly dawned on me that I'd married the god of fire, the most valiant warrior in the divine realm, upon whose shoulders rested the fate of all three realms. Cassius' smiling lips abruptly tightened, his face flashing with displeasure, yet without hesitation. He gripped my chin and crushed his lips against mine. The fire god's scorching body heat overwhelmed me. Just as I thought I'd suffocate, he finally released me. "Wait for me like a good girl." He gave me one last lingering look before finally turning to leave the Crystal Palace. I hurried to the doorway, watching his departing figure with such mixed emotions that no words could escape my lips. Throughout the divine realm, it was whispered that the water deity and his consort shared a bond of profound devotion and rare tenderness. Saren gathered countless tonics across the three realms, lavishing them upon Princess Lyra in an endless stream to restore her health. He even accompanied Lyra back to the demon realm for visits, doting on her with meticulous care in full view of all. While the demon folk watched in envy, they still couldn't resist taking a jab at me. "Behold our Princess Lyra, what divine fortune to wed such a celestial lord." Exactly. What's the use of a grand wedding when he just waltzed off to war, leaving her to rot in loneliness? How pitiful. Even the divine beings knew how to read the room. By some unseen order, the Crystal Palace stood deserted ever since Cassius marched to battle. Apart from the two maids originally assigned here, I was left completely alone. My allotted share of celestial herbs and spirit stones was nowhere to be found, but I didn't mind, for the glazed palace was overflowing with rare elixirs and treasures. Cassius even sent word that I could freely take whatever I needed from the palace. My weak spiritual essence stems from my mother's difficult childbirth that claimed her life. Without her protection, I've spent centuries unable to properly nurture my vitality. Rare elixirs were never within my reach. Now I don't stand on ceremony with Cassius. Daily doses of spiritual remedies have replenished my depleted soul force within mere years. My once ashen complexion gradually regained its healthy glow. Even the maids couldn't help but praise her. Our divine consort has become absolutely radiant since recovering her health. When the divine lord returns, he'll surely be spellbound. Their words made me blush, yet Cassius never did return. No one remembers when it started, but a saying spread like wildfire through the divine realm: Princess Blaze brings doom to her husbands. The fire god would never return. The tensions between me and the glazed palace finally erupted at an immortal banquet hosted by Saren. I had no intention of attending, but the invitation came from the Empress herself, who insisted that as the master of the glazed palace, my presence was required, especially with Cassius absent. "Since you've put it that way, I have no choice but to go." I specifically ordered my maid to make me a black robe and tied up my normally flowing soft hair high. The transformation made me look like Cassius's spitting image. My appearance left everyone stunned. After years apart, Princess Lyra didn't seem to be doing well. An unnatural flush colored her cheeks, her figure had grown fuller, and exhaustion clouded her eyes. When her gaze met mine, it instantly brimmed with malice and envy. "Blaze, who would have thought you'd manage just fine without Cassius around?" I smiled faintly. "You jest, sister. I merely keep watch over the Crystal Palace awaiting my lord's return." Saren, who had been silently watching me, suddenly spoke up. "Husband, how affectionate." My expression remained calm as I met his gaze. "You jest, brother. Since Cassius and I are wed, husband is only natural." The moment those words left my lips, Saren's demeanor turned icy. Even Princess Lyra noticed the tension, tugging at Saren's sleeve. "Darling, what's gotten into you?" To everyone's shock, the usually composed Saren violently shook off her hand, fixing me with an icy glare as she spat out, "Blaze, you married the devil incarnate and actually believe you found happiness. How dare you compare yourself to Lyra? How could Cassius possibly measure up to me?" The venom in her words left the entire room speechless. I let out a soft laugh in the deafening silence. "Brother, Cassius never sought to compete with you, nor should I be compared to our elder sister, but as the eldest, you shouldn't speak ill of my husband before me. Cassius and I are one. To me, he'll always be the finest man." With that, I turned to leave. To my shock, Saren completely lost his composure at my words and violently grabbed my arm. "Blaze, how dare you? How dare you develop feelings for him?" A sharp pain shot through my arm as I tried in vain to shake him off. His grip was like iron shackles. At that critical moment, a streak of red light suddenly darted into the hall. The razor-sharp blade came slashing straight down toward the arm Saren was holding me with. Startled, Saren instinctively jerked her hand back. The sudden release sent me stumbling backward from the momentum. The next instant, a familiar arm caught me firmly around the waist. I heard the man's usually flippant voice turn ice-cold as he spoke. "Saren, I call you big brother out of courtesy. Lay another hand on Blaze, and I'll chop that arm right off." 5. Cassius' sudden appearance completely shifted the dynamics of the celestial banquet. Though Saren is the crown prince with supreme status in the divine realm, those in the know understand Cassius' formidable power as the god of war across 3 realms, yet over all these years, the two had never come into direct conflict due to various circumstances. Cassius was known for his carefree and easygoing nature. Rarely taking things seriously, he didn't even show interest in the imperial throne, which is why Saren always kept him at arm's length. In my past life, he even warned me to avoid unnecessary contact with Cassius unless absolutely necessary, to prevent speculation and complications. Back then, I was deeply infatuated with him and naturally wouldn't defy his wishes, so much so that I never witnessed Saren and Cassius having an open confrontation before my death. Yet in this lifetime, the unexpected came to pass. Saren's expression turned utterly grim as he watched Cassius shielding me protectively in his arms. After visibly struggling to contain his temper, he finally spoke with forced calm. "So the 4th brother returns. I was merely exchanging pleasantries with Blaze here. Must you always be so quick to anger? Years of campaigning haven't tempered that fiery disposition of yours." The sheer audacity. After his own offensive remarks, he now dares to paint Cassius as the hot-headed one. Only now do I finally understand how those rumors about Cassius being temperamental and emotionally unstable came to be. Saren's intentions become perfectly clear if you just think a little deeper. How could a hot-tempered deity prone to emotional outbursts ever rule as emperor? To outsiders, the gentle, composed and benevolent water god naturally seems more suited to be sovereign. My gaze instinctively darted to Cassius, but he wore an indifferent expression, clearly accustomed to Saren's slander. A surge of fury rose within me. Had it not been for my past life's experiences, even I wouldn't have known Saren was a hypocrite through and through. In that previous life, he forced me to take forbidden drugs day after day for decades. Watching him passively as I coughed up blood and agony from their torment, all he ever offered was scornful mockery. "And you call yourself a demon? Aren't your kind supposed to be fertile as rabbits? How come your imperial sister birthed a Chelan so easily? Well, you can't even carry a whelp. Drink, swallow every drop. If you fail to conceive a divine beast, you'll wish you were dead." Yet this same cruel and tyrannical water god would dote on me with meticulous care whenever others were present. At celestial banquets, he'd personally peel divine fruits for me, whispering sweet nothings in my ear all the while. Such stark contrasts made it unbearable. Every day felt like walking through fire and ice. He tormented me in my past life, and now he dares slander Cassius in this one. With lifetimes of resentment boiling over, I suddenly gripped Cassius' hand and retorted loudly, "What kind of talk is this, elder brother? You laid hands on me without reason just now. Is this how an elder brother should behave?" Had Cassius not returned in time, my arm might have been crippled right here. A woman's reputation is of utmost importance. Without Cassius witnessing this today, rumors would spread like wildfire. Even with 800 mouths, I could never clear my name. "It was you who wronged me before all the celestial lords first. How does this suddenly become my husband's fault? While my husband and his warriors shed blood to safeguard the 3 realms, you sit comfortably in your hall without a care for your brother's safety, yet dare to disrespect me, your own sister-in-law. What manner of logic is this? Do you not fear crushing the morale of our frontline troops with such conduct?" My words struck the assembly like thunder, leaving them utterly dumbstruck. Since my marriage into the divine realm, I'd remained silent and unnoticed. Never having clashed with anyone before is precisely why the celestial beings dared neglect the glazed palace so brazenly. Even Cassius didn't expect such a fiery retort from me, his eyes widening in delighted surprise. As for Saren, his face turned glacial, as if frozen across 10,000 miles of tundra. Yet he couldn't refute a single word I'd said. The celestial banquet ended in discord that day, and rumors began spreading about the water god attempting to take liberties with his brother's wife while the fire god was away at war. Since I escalated the matter to involve battlefield warriors, the situation became rather serious. Upon learning of this, the Divine Lord summoned Saren specifically to deliver a severe reprimand. He even confined Saren to solitary reflection, dealing him a humiliating public rebuke. In a way, I've avenged my past self. Though Cassius returned victorious, there remain numerous matters demanding his attention. Truth be told, I hadn't quite figured out how to interact with him either. That very day, while Cassius attended military discussions at the Imperial Hall, an unexpected visitor arrived at the glazed pavilion. I looked at Princess Lyra's venomous expression before me, feeling utterly helpless. Sister, we both married into the divine realm. Even if we can't support each other, must we make things difficult? The princess clenched her dress hem, glaring at me with burning intensity. When exactly did you secretly seduce Saren? How dare you make him humiliate himself for you at the celestial banquet? Your mother was nothing but a lowly maid who seduced our father to bear a wretch like you. How dare you ruin my perfect match? Lyra's insult toward my deceased mother instantly wiped the calm from my face. Dear sister, if this were truly a blessed union, how could I have shattered it so easily? Besides, I've barely met the water god in recent years, and you were always present. Which eye of yours saw me seducing him? Let me make this clear. My heart belongs only to my husband. I adore him beyond measure. Your precious water god means nothing to me. The moment I finished speaking, a soft chuckle came from beyond the door. I turned to meet Cassius' eyes, glinting with amusement and mischief. My face burned crimson with embarrassment. What on earth did I just say? The imperial princess stormed off with a livid expression after my retort. Meanwhile, Cassius, who had just heard my passionate confession, slowly approached, blushing furiously. I dared not speak and could only retreat step by step under his advance. With a smirk, Cassius pinned me down on the couch in the end. My lady, what were you saying just now? My face burned like embers as I shook my head desperately. And nothing. I said nothing at all. Oh, Cassius tilted my chin up. Did I just hear you say you're hopelessly in love with me? I am impeached. Before I could utter another word, Cassius silenced me with a kiss. After years of waiting, our wedding night finally arrived. Cassius showed no mercy and nearly wore me out completely. Only through true intimacy did I discover how tender the fiery-tempered god could be with his wife. Contrary to his fearsome reputation, from that moment on, Cassius and I truly began our married life together. Gradually, I noticed the once faint divine essence within me growing clearer and more distinct. My perpetually cold hands and feet grew burning hot, as if some nameless fire raged within me. Yet it didn't feel scalding. Instead, both my spirit and body grew increasingly vibrant. At last I understood why I'd remained childless in my past life. My primordial spirit embodies fire, while Saren, the water deity, possesses an essence of icy dampness utterly incompatible with mine. After marriage, merely neutralizing the water element he inflicted upon me drained all my spiritual essence. With my womb unstable and perpetually weakened, how could I possibly conceive a divine beast? And that child I finally conceived after being forced to ingest so many forbidden elixirs. He cruelly crushed its life with his bare hands. Now wed to the fire god, my soul resonates perfectly with Cassius's divine essence. He even unknowingly guided me to cultivate a spiritual core. During meditation, I sometimes feel this wondrous warmth and weightless grace flowing through me. I couldn't help but wonder, if my mother is a golden feathered peacock, what would my true form be? For just as I was pondering this, news spread throughout the three realms. The water god's wife, Princess Lyra, is with child. Come to think of it, Lyra, the two princesses from the spirit realm, and I all had our weddings on the same day. During Cassius' years at war, both princesses of the spirit realm became pregnant and gave birth to divine beasts, yet Lyra and I showed no signs of pregnancy, fueling rampant rumors. Whispers spread that demon realm princesses were inferior to spirit realm royalty, our souls too fragile to bear offspring. Since Cassius and I hadn't consummated our marriage before his departure, I remained utterly unconcerned, but Lyra was different. Even I knew she'd secretly made multiple trips to the demon realm searching for elixirs. Nobody understood Saren's forbidden arts better than me. Lyra must have suffered terribly these past years. No wonder her complexion kept deteriorating until she became almost unrecognizable. Now with this pregnancy, Her Highness can finally hold her head high. With her pregnancy, Saren regained the Emperor's favor and was promoted to participate in state affairs, becoming the undisputed center of attention. The next time I saw my royal sister was at the celestial banquet. Though caked in thick makeup, her deathly pale complexion still showed through, yet when she saw me, She still struck a triumphant pose and laughed with malicious glee. Blaze, I don't mean to lecture you as your elder sister, but it's been years since your grand wedding with Cassius. Why hasn't your womb borne fruit? Can't even produce a single child? What a disgrace to our demon realm's reputation. If outsiders start speculating that our kind struggles to conceive divine offspring or auspicious beasts, how could you possibly bear such shame? I sighed helplessly, observing the darkened spot between her brows and her ashen complexion. Most of our demon kin are fire-aligned, and I presume your highness is no exception. Now that you're with child, you must know the toll it takes. Instead of wasting energy bickering with me, perhaps you should focus on securing your own future. No sooner had I spoken than Saren stepped forward and slipped an arm around Lyra's waist. Our pregnancy is a private matter between husband and wife. Your concern is unwelcome. Dear sister-in-law, forgive my bluntness, but barren creatures like you should stay home where you belong. Must you spread your misfortune to decent folk? With that, he shot a spiteful grin at Cassius standing behind me. My poor brother, I fear you may never have an heir even in 100 years. May the gods have mercy on you. The mocking gazes of all the celestial lords fell upon Cassius and me. I glanced guiltily at Cassius, knowing full well how crucial progeny is to a divine sovereign. A magnificent, exceptional divine beast offspring is the paramount qualification for becoming the heavenly emperor's successor. In our past life, though Cassius was at odds with my royal sister, she still bore him the auspicious Chelan beast, ultimately helping him ascend the throne. Yet now, after years of blissful marriage between us, I still haven't conceived. If the prophecy holds true that I must wait a century to bear his child, the imperial throne will surely slip through our fingers. At this thought, my heart grew heavy and tears welled in my eyes, yet Cassius paid no heed to the other's gazes, reaching out to gently pinch my cheek as he murmured words of comfort. Why the tears? What does it matter whether we have children or not? Haven't we been perfectly content together in the Crystal Palace, just the two of us? I shook my head, but, enough with the buts. Cassius took my hand and strode out defiantly, ignoring all onlookers. You're all I need. I know what troubles you, but Blaze, you must trust me. Your husband is the god of war. Thrones aren't won through heirs. Tears fell freely as Cassius crushed me against his chest. I knew then, this was the steadfast embrace I'd lean on for life. What's meant to be will come naturally. Such is often the way of the world. On an utterly ordinary morning, I was suddenly overcome with chest tightness, nausea, and relentless vomiting. Cassius was terrified and summoned the court physician, who confirmed I was already 3 months pregnant. Cassius spun me around in sheer delight. The divine emperor and empress were overjoyed, bestowing countless celestial elixirs and spirit stones, yet my heavily pregnant elder sister, nearing her time, regarded me with visible displeasure. Who knows what tricks your lowly body employed to conceive? I tilted my head with a smile. It seems the royal sister struggled with conception herself, hence suspects others of foul play. Lyra shot me a glare before storming off in a huff. I watched her retreating figure with amusement, though eventually sighed in concern. A creeping sense of foreboding settled in my chest. True enough, the divine realm was engulfed in howling winds and thunderous lightning when Lyra went into labor. The divine emperor and empress led all the deities to await the birth, yet after Lyra's agonized screams lasted a full day and night, she delivered a sodden, mottled bluebird with a grotesque fishtail protruding from its rear. Everyone was utterly terrified, myself included. Lyra's true form was a magnificent azure phoenix. None could have imagined she'd birth such a freakish chimera. Saren, the instigator, turned even more livid, his face flushed crimson with bulging veins as he roared, "What is this abomination? Where's the Chelan? Where's the damn Chelan? Useless, useless." Before anyone could react, Saren suddenly materialized his weapon and with a single slash, severed the bluebird's head from its body. No. The princess let out a blood-curdling scream. Covered in blood, she rushed forward to cradle the lifeless bluebird, weeping with unbearable anguish. "How could you kill him? He was your own flesh and blood, you monster. I'll kill you to avenge my child." Unlike her imperial sister's anguish, Saren only felt humiliated and kept denying it. "This isn't my child. A deity like me could never sire such offspring." With a thud, he dropped to his knees before the emperor. "Father, this useless woman is barren. Grant me permission to divorce her and remarry. I swear I'll sire a Chelan heir. I know I can do it." The emperor kicked him away in disgust. "Wretched fool, that's your own flesh and blood. How could you be so heartless? To think my blood runs through your veins. Your mother and I are utterly ashamed of you. You'll remain here in reflection, not one step beyond these doors without my permission." I watched Saren standing before me, feeling an indescribable satisfaction. He thought rebirth would let him sire the divine Chelan and reclaim the imperial throne. Little did he know it would all be in vain. The failure to produce a Chelan wasn't my sister's fault. The water god's own spirit was flawed. Last life he blamed me, this life he faults my sister, yet never once questions himself. His refusal to confront his own failures and flaws doomed him to ultimate defeat. The imperial elder sister, deeply distraught, was personally escorted back to the demon realm by the divine emperor and empress. The celestial realm offered rare herbs and spirit stones as compensatory gifts, yet no material compensation could ever mend a parent's heart shattered by their child's brutal death. In the blink of an eye, the baby in my womb is about to arrive. After the previous accident, Cassius was extremely anxious about my delivery. He'd stocked up on every elixir and made thorough preparations. Yet when the moment finally came, he completely panicked, gripping my hand with trembling fingers. Blaze, please be all right. Gasping in pain, I still managed to reassure him, I'm fine, don't worry. Yet during my labor, disaster truly struck. As the auspicious beast was born, the crystal palace suddenly erupted in flames from the intense heat. All the celestial midwives were forced to retreat. Only Cassius charged in without hesitation to stay by my side. Flames roared all around us. Yet neither Cassius nor I felt their scorching heat. Amidst the fiery glow, a golden red feathered creature resembling a living flame soared skyward. The emperor waiting outside gasped in awe, exclaiming uncontrollably, "A phoenix! By the heavens, a phoenix!" Word spread instantly through the divine realm. The fire god's consort had given birth to a legendary phoenix, a marvel unseen for millennia. Overjoyed, the emperor immediately proclaimed the fire god as his successor, with the coronation ceremony to be held during his Phoenix heir's centennial celebration. Yet Cassius, the future emperor-to-be, remained by my side with tearful eyes, tenderly kissing my hand in anguish. Blaze, I'll never let you go through childbirth again. You scared me half to death. Watching the god of war shedding tears for me, I finally couldn't help but voice the question buried deep in my heart. Cassius, why are you so good to me? Cassius leaned in and planted a gentle kiss on my forehead. Silly, how do you think you made it back? I begged the Queen Mother to harness 10,000 years of divine power to activate the wheel of samsara and bring you back. I fell in love with you the moment I first saw you in our past life. Had you not been so deeply devoted to Saren, I would never have let you marry him. Scalding tears streamed down my cheeks as I realized everything had happened because of Cassius. He was the one who brought me back. Cassius cradled my hand with reverent tenderness, as if holding something infinitely precious. Blaze, this time I finally didn't lose you. Yes, this time we finally found each other. Just when everyone thought the dust had settled, a dark mist suddenly surged into the crystal palace. Startled, I focused my gaze and realized the intruder was none other than Saren. His hair was disheveled like a madman, wildly swinging a long sword in his hand. No, this can't be. There must be some mistake. This is my child. Blaze is my wife. Only I can sire a Chelan. Only I can father a phoenix. Cassius summoned the Godslayer blade, shielding me completely behind him. Yet Saren still stared at me with manic eyes. Blaze, come with me. We'll surely breed divine beasts. You're my wife. Come with me now. With that, he lunged forward violently, only to be kicked out of the hall by Cassius. The emperor's fury ignited at the sight of him. Didn't I order you to reflect behind closed doors? Who permitted your presence here? Get out of my sight. But Saren had gone mad, thrusting his sword forward. I'm the firstborn. Why would you pass the throne to him? I'll kill you and claim the throne myself. Enraged, the emperor commanded the divine guards to subdue him. But Saren's frenzied state granted him monstrous strength, making him momentarily unstoppable. Breaking free from the divine weapons restraining him, he thrust his sword fiercely toward the divine sovereign. At the critical moment, a long blade pierced through Saren's chest from behind. Saren turned, only to find it wasn't Cassius but me who wielded the Godslayer blade. He stared at me in disbelief. Blaze, my lashes lowered as a glimmer of tears flashed at the corner of my eyes. This blade is for the child I never got to hold. Saren's pupils dilated violently. Only now did he realize I'd been reborn too. But it was too late, far too late. Saren collapsed before the crowd, burdened with countless regrets and remorse. Thus fell the water god of an era. A century later, the fire god ascended the throne, and at last, I became the first divine queen of the demon realm. The entire demon realm basks in divine protection, with every household thriving in peace and prosperity. In the newly reconstructed Divine Sovereign's palace, a century-old phoenix chick nestled on my lap as I recounted how I slew a god with my own hands 100 years prior. Mother Queen is amazing. Mother Queen, who's stronger, you or Father Sovereign? I chuckled and ruffled his hair. Ask your father. The little phoenix turned and threw himself into Cassius' arms. Father, who's stronger between you and Mother? Cassius couldn't help but laugh, turning to gaze at me with boundless tenderness in his eyes. Your mother, without a doubt. I've lost to her for all eternity. Amidst the rosy clouds of the divine palace, Cassius and I exchanged a knowing smile. Henceforth we'll roam the clouds together, never to part through endless lifetimes. Story 2. Before the high-temperature apocalypse, my husband brought his white moonlight, Nova, home, in order to show that she was beautiful and kind-hearted. Nova took it upon herself to generously give the food and water I had stocked to the neighbors. Everyone praised her, while I became the evil person they called selfish, which caused public outrage. Later, they were so hungry that they lost their minds and came to our house again to ask for food, to protect themselves. My husband and Nova pushed me and my 3-year-old daughter out. My blood became the drink to quench their thirst, and my flesh became the food to fill their stomachs. I slowly died in extreme pain and unwillingness. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn a month before the apocalypse. Since she wants to be a noble and virtuous woman so much, I'll let her be one to the fullest. That scumbag man and the shameless woman, they deserve each other. 1. Wife, the weather has been getting hotter recently. The rental house Nova lives in is small and stuffy, and the electricity bill is extremely high. We have an extra room. How about letting her move in? It's really not easy for a young girl like her to live in the city. As her leader, I should provide some help within my ability. What do you think? My husband, Orion, pushed my arm and asked casually, pretending not to care. I opened my eyes suddenly, and my temples were throbbing violently. My chubby lips made me unconsciously swallow. I then realized that I was reborn a month before the apocalypse, in my previous life, using the excuse of taking care of his subordinate. Orion suggested that Nova, who lived in a rental house, move in. I was kind-hearted and knew how difficult it was for a young girl to work hard in a strange city, so I agreed to let her move in without hesitation. Later, I found out that Nova was far from being an innocent girl. She was the white moonlight that Orion loved but couldn't have. She just used the name of a colleague to look for her old love. Orion took advantage of my love for him and did all kinds of things to hurt me. But I was like a fool, unaware of what was going on. It wasn't until the apocalypse came quietly that I saw their true colors. You've stocked so much food and water, sharing a little with everyone won't hurt. You're being too selfish. Don't you see that everyone is starving? While talking, Nova opened the door and gave some food and water to the neighbors who came to ask for food. Orion didn't stop her. Instead, he approved of Nova's actions, and his eyes were full of love. He advised me. In the face of great disasters, you can see people's true hearts. You're not as good as Nova in this regard. The disaster will pass. You should have a big heart. You can't be like this. Later, the neighbors who got the food sent the news that we still had food at home to the group. More and more people came to our house to ask for food. There were too many people and too little food. It simply wasn't enough to go around. They were so hungry that their eyes were red, and they forced their way into the house to search for food. To protect themselves, Nova and Orion pushed me and my 3-year-old daughter out, and we became the food for them. They cut my flesh one knife after another. I was in so much pain and fear that I begged them bitterly, "Husband, save us, please. If you have to eat someone, eat me. Please spare the child." Orion and Nova shrank into the corner, silent, and looked at us coldly. After that, they also joined in the act of eating us. A strong hatred burst out from my body. I wished I could skin that scumbag man and the shameless woman alive right away, but I can't do that now. I have to take good care of my daughter and live on. As for those two, when the apocalypse comes, I'll deal with them slowly. At that time, countless people will die, and no one will bother to find out how they died. 2. Orion waved his fingers in front of my eyes. "Scarlet, what's wrong with you? Can you say something? She's still waiting?" I sneered and walked straight to the door. When I opened the door, I saw Nova standing at the door with a suitcase. Just like in my previous life, Orion took advantage of my kindness. He was sure that I wouldn't refuse this request, so he asked Nova to pack her things and move in advance. At that time, I didn't suspect the relationship between him and Nova. I even happily helped her pack her things. Now I realized that the sticky ambiguity in their eyes was right in my face. But I didn't notice it at all. I'm so stupid. Nova walked in with a smile. "Sorry for the trouble. I'll move out when the high temperature passes. Thank you, Miss Scarlet." I ignored her, changed my shoes, and went out. Orion didn't chase after me. He just sent me a message. "Go to the supermarket and buy some fresh vegetables. Nova is picky about food and won't eat anything that's not fresh. Thanks, my dear wife." I clenched my phone tightly, and my fingers were trembling slightly. After a while, I came to my senses. I realized that I didn't have extra time to waste being angry with this scumbag. The most important task now is to build a shelter for myself and my daughter before the apocalypse comes. Just as I was thinking about this, I arrived at the underground garage and drove to a residential area. I had a house I bought before marriage here. It's on the top floor, and the location is very good. There's only one household on each floor, and the security and privacy are very good. As long as I lock the fire escape, people downstairs can't come up. I've found the place. The next step is to renovate the house. I'll replace all the materials with ones that have high temperature resistance and heat insulation functions. At the same time, I also need to stock up on enough food and water. I sold all my stocks and converted them into cash, together with the money Orion earned from working hard all these years and my own savings. I have a total of 2 million yuan. I looked at the balance in the card and smiled with satisfaction. I immediately contacted the decoration company and asked them to use the best heat insulation materials. I asked them to paint the house with heat insulation paint, lay heat insulation film, and install a few solar panels. All the doors and windows need to be reinforced, especially the glass, which is easy to break under high temperature. I directly asked the master to install double-layer titanium alloy glass for me, and added anti-theft windows. Even though my house is on the 30th floor, I'm not worried about anyone climbing up. Secondly, for the door, I used a bank-level anti-theft door that's invulnerable. It's still not enough. I also added an extra anti-theft door and a doorstop outside, in the apocalypse. What's more terrifying than the high temperature is people's hearts. I need to ensure that people outside can't get in to the greatest extent. I also thickened all the walls and added good sound insulation materials to ensure that the sound inside the house can't be heard outside. The master who got the design plan looked at me in confusion. "Are you building a shelter? I've only seen this kind of setup in apocalypse novels," I replied calmly. "My ex-husband has a mental illness and keeps pestering me. I'm a girl, and I need to reinforce the doors and windows to keep him out. It's for my safety." The master sympathized with me. "Don't worry, leave it to me. To speed up the construction progress, I paid twice the labor cost." Finally, the master patted his chest and promised me that he could finish everything within 2 weeks. Then I left with confidence. It was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I looked at the temperature on my phone. It was already 40 degrees. The pedestrians on the street were in a hurry, and everyone was sweating profusely. Many people were complaining about the abnormal climate, but no one realized that this was a sign of the apocalypse. They still went to work and school as usual, let alone stock up on supplies. Only I know that a week before the apocalypse comes, the temperature will slowly rise to 50 degrees. Far exceeding the temperature limit that humans can bear. When the real apocalypse comes, the temperature will keep rising to 60 degrees, and it may even reach 70 degrees. The temperature is so high that the earth may explode at any time. There's no water and electricity. The rivers dry up. When water is poured on the ground, it will be evaporated instantly. Humans can't walk outside at all. Thinking about what happened in my previous life, I took a deep breath. I realize that I still have a lot of things to do. There are so many people coming and going in the community. If I stock up a large amount of food, it will definitely attract the attention of others. One of the survival rules in the apocalypse is not to expose the supplies, otherwise, it will bring endless trouble. I need to carefully consider the time and place to stock up on supplies. 3. I picked up my child from the kindergarten and, on the pretext of the high temperature, asked for a month's leave for my child. "Mom, I don't want to take a leave. I want to go to the kindergarten." Luna's little hand grabbed the hem of my clothes and she looked at me in confusion. I squatted down. After a lifetime, I held Luna's thin but whole body again, and couldn't help but shed tears. "When the temperature drops a little, Mom will take you to the kindergarten." "Okay," Luna nodded sensibly. I picked her up and was about to leave. Before leaving, I looked at the teacher and reminded her in a low voice, "The temperature has been abnormal recently. You should stock up on some food at home, especially water. Teacher, take care." Although I knew that the apocalypse was coming, I couldn't say more. I could only fulfill my obligation to remind her. After picking up Luna, I went straight to the local supermarket near our home. I pushed a shopping cart and bought some food that couldn't be stored for a long time: fresh vegetables, meat, sparkling drinks, yogurt with a short shelf life, dumplings, and tangyuan. After the power went out, these foods couldn't be stored for long. I want to see them die in despair. I carried the big bags of food home. Nova had already prepared dinner at home. The air conditioner in the house was set to the most suitable temperature for the human body, which was 26 degrees. Everything looked so warm and comfortable. Nova greeted us gently to have dinner, acting like the hostess of the house. After putting the food I bought into the refrigerator, I sat at the table to eat. Orion looked puzzled. "Why did you buy so much food?" I asked for a few days' leave for Luna. "The temperature in the city is too high. I plan to take her to my hometown in the countryside and stay there for a while, to escape the heat and let her experience the rural atmosphere. Do you want to come with us?" The joy on Orion's face couldn't be hidden. "It's okay if you take Nova back. I'm so busy with my work that I can't get away." In my previous life, after Nova moved in, Orion found all kinds of excuses to ask me to go back to my hometown and stay there for a while, so that he could make room for them, but I had no relatives left in my hometown, and I didn't want to go back, so I refused Orion's request. Because of this, Nova held a grudge. She made things difficult for me in daily life. She either disliked that the ingredients were not fresh or that the taste of the dishes was not right. Orion quarreled with me many times because of this. Later, when I realized that the temperature was not right, the supplies I managed to grab from several supermarkets were given away by Nova. In the end, they brutally killed me. In this life, I'll move out as you wish. I want to see how long you can survive in the apocalypse without me, the big fool, stocking up food for you. For the next day, I took Luna and stayed in a hotel near the community, which was convenient for me to supervise the construction progress. After settling down, I immediately rented a large warehouse in a small truck. Then I took Luna to a large supermarket 10 kilometers away from home. I found the supermarket manager and told him that I needed to order 100 boxes of purified water and 50 large barrels of water. I also ordered 100 large-capacity water storage barrels and filled all the barrels with water before the water supply was cut off. These can be used not only as domestic water but also as a way to cool down by soaking in the water when necessary. I don't know how long the apocalypse will last, so it's better to prepare as much water as possible. After ordering the water in the supermarket, I gave the supermarket manager the address of the warehouse and asked him to deliver the goods on time according to the address and time I gave him. After everything was arranged, I went to another large supermarket. This time I went to the fresh food area and pushed 2 large shopping carts. The supermarket salesperson saw that it was difficult for me to operate with a child, so she kindly helped me. I took 50 bags of various semi-finished steaks, mutton, chicken, duck, and fish. After the apocalypse, even if the power went out, I could use the solar generator to keep the refrigerator running, even if the generator couldn't be used in the end. These frozen foods could also be used as a tool to cool down. I wanted so many things that the shopping cart couldn't hold them all. The manager suggested that I write them down on paper, and then he would prepare the goods and deliver them to my home. I ordered 50 caddies of rice, flour, cooking oil, and grain each. I also ordered 100 boxes of instant noodles, instant food, self-heating hot pot, and rice. I ordered 200 boxes of various canned fruits, meat, 8 treasure porridge, bread, and snacks. After paying the deposit, I gave him the address of the warehouse and asked him to deliver the goods. In the following days, I went back and forth to various wholesale markets and bought clothes for adults and children. I bought 50 pieces of both thin and thick underwear for both men and women. I also bought 50 boxes of wet and dry wipes and sanitary pads. I bought 50 sets of 4-piece bedding. I bought all kinds of picture books and toys for children. A total of 20 pieces. I bought 10 tablets and 20 power banks. It was difficult to buy medicine. I almost ran all over the city before I managed to stock up on all the necessary daily medicines. After the house was renovated, the ordered supplies were delivered one after another. I also ordered 2 large refrigerators, which were specially used to store frozen food. I moved all the supplies back home in the early morning, and it took me several days to do so. During this period, Orion sent me messages occasionally, but I didn't reply much, using the excuse that the signal in the countryside was bad. Later, he stopped sending messages. In the house with all the supplies, I turned on the monitor and watched Orion and Nova being affectionate. A sense of pleasure welled up in my heart. A week before the high temperature came, the temperature rose to 48 degrees. I sat at home, eating ice cream, blowing the air conditioner, and browsing the overwhelming information on the internet. A blogger posted a statement about the high-temperature apocalypse, and there were a lot of scolding comments below. At first, the blogger tried to explain and called on everyone to stock up on food, but no one believed him. Instead, the netizens launched a personal attack on him. Later, that article was deleted for violating the rules. Good advice is hard to persuade the damned. The apocalypse is coming. What's more terrifying than the high temperature is people's hearts. All I can do is to look out for myself and protect my daughter. In the following days, the temperature kept rising. I checked the temperature, and it showed 50 degrees. A text message popped up on my phone. High temperature warning. The temperature in this city has reached its highest peak and will exceed 50 degrees. All citizens are advised not to go out if possible. From today, work and school in the whole city will be suspended, and all outdoor work will be stopped. Please don't panic, stay at home and take measures to prevent heat stroke and cool down. The owner group boiling, 50 degrees, isn't it hotter than Africa? Can the earth still be suitable for humans to live on? Don't panic, it's just temporary. I checked the weather forecast, and it shows that there will be rain in 2 days. The temperature will drop once it rains, that's right. Don't spread false information. Spreading rumors is illegal now. Great, I don't have to go to work. I can lie down at home, blow the air conditioner and play games. Just thinking about it makes me happy. I think this temperature is very abnormal. Otherwise, we'd better go to the supermarket and stock up on supplies as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be like during the epidemic. If we go late, we won't be able to grab anything. You're just worrying for nothing, in my opinion. It's not that serious at all. Looking at the overwhelming comments in the group, I deleted all the messages in the dialogue box. Finally, I let out a long sigh and turned off my phone. The second rule of surviving the apocalypse: don't be a saint. I opened the curtains and saw that the scenery outside the window was distorted. The steaming heat made it difficult to breathe. I glanced at the temperature monitor at home, and it was 35 degrees. I turned down the temperature of the air conditioner a few more degrees. On the third day of the apocalypse, the water and electricity in the whole city were cut off. I carefully checked the several solar panels I bought and placed them on the bay window and the balcony respectively. There were still 10 out of 100 water storage barrels that were not full. I almost never turned off the faucet and kept the water running, but the speed was still too slow. I took out the water pipe and connected it to all the faucets in the house to let the water flow together. After doing all this, I was so tired that my whole body was covered in sticky sweat. I was just about to take a shower when Luna came in with the phone. Dad called. I was shocked. I took the phone. Fortunately, Luna didn't answer the video call, otherwise, we would be exposed. Although this house has been built with a lot of money and the safety can be assured, the fewer people know about it, the safer we are. In the apocalypse, I have to eliminate all dangers, especially Orion. 6. I switched the video call to a voice call, and Orion on the other end of the phone was very irritable. What were you doing? You didn't answer the phone for so long. When will you be back? This temperature is not right. The buses to the station have all stopped running. Without transportation, we can't go back. Damn it. Then transfer some money to me so that I can buy some food. I only have 1,000 yuan left. I've put the other money in a fixed deposit, and the interest is higher that way. Stop talking nonsense and give me all the money. After hanging up the phone, I immediately turned on the surveillance video. Orion and Nova were arguing fiercely. Finally, Orion slammed the door and left. It seemed that he was going to the supermarket to grab supplies. I took a nice shower, took a sip of the ice drink, and lay on the sofa comfortably. I opened the surveillance and saw that Orion had a bruise on his face. He was holding 2 packs of instant noodles and a bottle of mineral water in his hand. Are these people crazy? There's nothing left in the supermarket. I grabbed this bottle of water from a woman. I had a canned fruit in my hand, but a tall guy snatched it away and even injured me. Nova's face looked ugly. Is this what you bought for me? How can I eat this? I want to eat fresh vegetables and fruits. My skin will get worse if I eat this. Orion patiently coaxed Nova. Suddenly, there was a dull sound, and the engine of the air conditioner stopped turning. The already stuffy room got even hotter. Orion finally exploded and kicked over the chair. Stop making trouble. It's already good to have something to eat. You're so picky. I risked my life to buy these. It will kill you if you go out in this hot weather. Don't you know that? So he knows that going out in this heat can be deadly. In my previous life, when I bought food in the high temperature, they not only didn't show any gratitude but also gave the supplies to others. Sure enough, you only feel the pain when the hot water is poured on yourself. Nova was scared by Orion's attitude and started crying with a pout. After Orion calmed down a bit, he hugged her in his arms and said softly, "Just be patient for a few days. I checked the weather forecast, and it will rain in 2 days. The weather won't be so hot when it rains. I'll buy you whatever you want then." Okay, I sneered. The weather forecast and Orion's heart are the most untrustworthy things in the world. Nova lowered her eyes. Although she was reluctant, she didn't continue to make trouble. Orion cooked a bowl of tangyuan for her, but she ate it without any appetite and had a long face throughout. While watching their affectionate scene, I prepared a sumptuous dinner for my daughter and me. Luna has been very well behaved these days. She played with her new toys at home and didn't even want to go out. I gave her different toys to play with every day. Sure enough, children are easily satisfied. Looking at the smile on her face, a sense of happiness welled up in my heart. In this life, we must survive well. But Orion discovered that we weren't in the countryside earlier than I expected, and we were in trouble. 7. When I woke up the next morning, I checked the time. It was 7:10. I walked to the living room and pulled open the thick blackout curtains. The sun shone in so fiercely that it was blinding. It's so early, and the sun is already so strong. I quickly picked up my phone. The temperature showed that it was actually 53 degrees outside. The sound of an ambulance came from downstairs. The messages in the group started flooding the screen again. 10 people in our building have heatstroke so far. How can they still get heatstroke while staying at home with the air conditioner on? Don't you notice that all the people taken away are old people? They're reluctant to turn on the air conditioner. They're risking their lives for money. I can't stand it even with the air conditioner on. It's like a sauna in the room. The weather forecast shows that it will rain in the next few days. I don't see a single cloud outside. How can it rain? At the same time, the property management sent a notice in the group. Dear owners, due to the high temperature in the past few days, the electricity consumption has increased sharply, and there is a high possibility of a power outage. If there is a power outage, please don't panic. Our community has solar power supply equipment, and the power will be restored within about 10 minutes after the outage. Please save electricity as much as possible during use, and please set the air conditioner to above 26 degrees. If there is a power outage in this situation, it's like taking our lives. My God, will the water supply also be cut off? The supermarkets nearby don't seem to be open. Do any of you in the group have extra water to sell me? I'll pay double the price. As soon as the sentence was sent, the group fell silent, and no one spoke again. A few minutes later, the property management at everyone in the group again. Please don't panic, our property management office still has reserved water, and we will arrange for people to distribute drinking water to everyone. The words of the property management were like a sedative for everyone. The restless people in the group all quieted down. I made breakfast, woke Luna up, and helped her wash up briefly. After breakfast, I took out a bottle of Wuxingxingqi liquid and shared it with Luna, although the temperature in the room was still bearable. We still needed to take precautions. The days when we couldn't go out were very boring. I like to turn on the surveillance and peek at Orion's life, as if I was watching a high-definition erotic action movie. It was quite interesting. Orion was arguing with Nova, and they were both red in the face. Are you crazy? Why did you give the remaining tangyuan and meat to them? What will we eat then? Nova had a cold face. Those things have been frozen for a long time. It's not good for our health to eat them. Besides, you said it would rain. We can go to the supermarket and buy more when the temperature drops. Do you really need to be angry with me for such a small thing? In my previous life, when Nova distributed food to the neighbors, Orion not only didn't stop her but also stood by her side and accused me. Now that I'm not in the way, Orion has also started to realize the abnormality of this extreme temperature. He didn't care and snatched the food back from the neighbors, and got into a fight with them. Nova's face turned red. She reached out to stop Orion but was slapped to the ground by him. I was watching the exciting scene when the video on the other side suddenly cut off. Presumably, there was a power outage on Orion's side. The temperature was still rising. It was already 53 degrees so early, it might reach 60 degrees at noon. Just thinking about it made it difficult for me to breathe. The stuffy and burning feeling was like a ton of fire about to swallow me up. I glanced at Luna, who was playing in the living room. She was sweating all over, but she was still in good spirits. Luna was stronger than I expected. I didn't have time to think more. I had to charge all the electronic devices while there was still power. I took out all the vegetables that were not easy to store and washed them, preparing to dry them into dried vegetables. Half of the water in the bathtub had evaporated in just one day, and the water in the water storage barrels had also decreased to different degrees. I was a little panicked, and I could only reduce the domestic water consumption in the following days. After finishing all the work, it was already noon. I didn't have an appetite because of the heat. I cooked some mung bean porridge to cool down and paired it with bread for a simple meal. The ear-piercing ringtone of the phone echoed in the room. Damn it. How dare you lie to me? Are you in Sonlin community now? I called the property management, and he said that you had the house renovated and moved in. I was shocked. I didn't expect Orion to be so well informed, so I simply stopped pretending. Yes, so what? Orion's tone was a bit excited. I'll pack my things and move here tonight. What's the matter with you living here with the child? Anyway, our family should stay together. 8. My tone was cold. Wasn't it exactly what you wanted when we moved out? Why are you so eager to come back now? Wife, you misunderstood me. I thought about asking you to take Luna to the countryside to escape the heat. This weather is incredibly hot. I'm just concerned about you. I didn't want to endure it anymore. Concerned? You don't deserve to use that word. Don't think I don't know about you and Nova. Nova is the white moonlight you love but can't have. She's that junior who went abroad. Orion, you're so dirty. Orion's voice was hoarse. Wife, I was wrong. I'll break up with her, I promise. Please let me come back. The child is so young and she needs me. Her father, you need me too, right? I gave a cold snort. You have no right to ask for my forgiveness. That scumbag and that shameless woman, you two deserve each other. Orion raised his voice. Scarlet, don't be ungrateful. Don't think I don't know you have food in your hand. You'd better hand it over obediently, otherwise, when I get in, I'll skin you and pull out your tendons. I hung up the phone in a hurry. The painful memories of my previous life were like a flood, almost swallowing me up. I slumped to the ground, my body stiff, and my fingers trembling slightly. After a while, I came to my senses, got up, and checked the doors and windows. I finally felt a little relieved when I was sure there was no problem. The sound of the air conditioner stopping running came, and the refrigerator also lost power. Realizing there was a power outage, I started the solar generator. A few minutes later, the air conditioner started working again, and a trace of coolness returned to the room. I took a big breath of the cool air from the air conditioner, and my heart rate slowly slowed down. At this time, I turned around and saw that Luna's little face was flushed, and there was an abnormal feverish glow on her face. She had a fever. Fortunately, I had enough medicine reserves, so I wasn't panicked. I took out medical antipyretic patches and stuck them on her forehead, neck, armpits, and groin. When her body temperature rose to 38.5 degrees, I fed her 4 milliliters of Malin. After seeing that her fever was gradually subsided, I finally had a moment to lie on the ground and catch my breath. At this time, the messages in the group exploded again. The ambulance phone number can't be reached. Has the official system stopped working? Someone in my family has heat stroke. Is there any doctor in the group? My child has a high fever. I'm willing to pay a large sum of money for Malin antipyretic medicine. Antipyretic patches will also do. I'll pay whatever the price. When I saw the mother's plea for help in the group, my heart tightened. If the child's fever doesn't go down, something bad will happen. Please, everyone, help. Soon her message was pushed down by other messages. Messages asking for supplies kept flooding the group. Some people were even willing to spend 100,000 yuan for a bottle of mineral water. There were really people who risked their lives for money. The owner of room 1030 said he had mineral water and was selling it for 100,000 yuan a bottle. Many people in the group at him and said they were willing to buy it. I didn't want to stay silent in the group. I added that mother who is asking for medicine with a fake account. I have extra Malin and a few antipyretic patches. I'll put the medicine in the stairwell on your floor in half an hour. Please come and get it in time. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I deleted her after confirming that she had seen the message. The shelf life of Malin after it's opened is only 1 month. It would be a waste if I kept it and couldn't finish it. It's better to give it to someone who needs it. Maybe it can even save a life. After confirming that Luna was still sound asleep, I put 3 bottles of mineral water and an electric stun baton in my backpack and tiptoed out the door. As soon as I opened the door, a wave of heat hit me. I felt a sticky sensation under my feet. When I looked down, the sole of my shoe had been burned and the glue was coming off. I quickly poured the frozen water on myself. The brief coolness brought me back to my senses. By the time I reached the 20th floor, the 3 bottles of water were almost empty. Just as I was about to put down the medicine, a pair of hands suddenly grabbed me tightly. I couldn't help but scream and fumbled for the electric stun baton in my backpack. A woman with chapped lips appeared in front of me. Don't be afraid. I'm the mother who asked for the medicine. I have nothing to give you. I still have half a bottle of water, and I'll give it to you. I warily looked around. After confirming that there was no one behind the woman, I felt a little more at ease. Without staying any longer, I stuffed the medicine into the woman's hand and was about to leave. She insisted on giving me the half bottle of water. During the scuffle, my hand touched the railing in the stairwell, and a bunch of blisters instantly appeared on my arm. I grimaced in pain. That's enough, if you want to live. Go back to your room quickly. The woman was intimidated by me and slunk back. I took a big gulp of water, poured the remaining water over my head, and started climbing up. The sound of glass breaking came from behind me. The temperature was incredibly high. When I got home, Luna was still asleep. I took out the burn ointment and treated my wound. Then I took some ice from the refrigerator and put it in the bathtub. I soaked in the water and gradually came to my senses. The outside temperature had exceeded the survival limit of humans. Fortunately, I didn't have the need to go out at all. The supplies at home were enough for us to survive in this house for a year or even longer. Just as I was thinking about this, I fell asleep in the bathtub in a daze. I was woken up by Luna's crying. I quickly wrapped myself in a towel and ran out. Orion's yelling came from the door. Open the door. If you don't open the door, I'll take it down. You'll suffer if I catch you. Luna was so scared that she hid behind me. I soothed her softly and took out the tablet to play the cartoon of Geo. Only then did I calm her down. Through the video doorbell, I saw that Orion was wrapped in a blanket, his body was covered in bloodstains, and his shoes were in a terrible state. He pressed his face against the surveillance camera, his face ferocious. If you don't be obedient, you'll end up worse than Nova. A chill rushed from my cervical spine to my brain. What did you do to her? Orion's eyes were sinister, and he laughed coldly, revealing his blood-stained teeth. 70% of the human body is water. I couldn't help but retch. The image of being brutally killed by being cut piece by piece in my previous life lingered in my mind. Wasn't she the one you loved the most? How could you do that to her? I couldn't help but ask him, what's the use of love? All I want now is to survive. Did you know about the high-temperature apocalypse in advance? That's why you prepared in advance. You're so heartless. After all these years of our relationship, you just watched me die. I replied coldly, even if I told you, would you believe me? If I didn't escape, Nova's end would be mine. Orion's voice softened, and he pleaded, Scarlet, my dear wife, I was wrong. I didn't do the right thing before. Will you forgive me? Let me in. It's dangerous for you to be a woman with a child in the apocalypse. I can protect you. You being here is the biggest danger. Save your energy. Maybe you can live a little longer. I ignored Orion outside the door, took an ice cream from the refrigerator and started eating it. I also cooked a pot of braised chicken with mushrooms. The aroma of the food filled the whole house. Fortunately, the walls were double soundproof, which could not only block the sound but also the smell. Otherwise, I couldn't imagine how crazy Orion outside the door would be after I was full. There was no sound outside the door. I checked the surveillance camera, and there was no one outside. I thought Orion had given up. I underestimated his evil. 9. Night came quietly, since there was a little sporadic rain in the evening. The temperature dropped a few degrees. At this time, the outdoor temperature was 50 degrees, and the indoor temperature was 40 degrees. The effect of the air conditioner was no longer obvious. Orion came to the door with more than 20 people in a mighty manner. The person living in this house is my wife. She knew the news of the high-temperature apocalypse in advance and stocked up a lot of supplies. As long as you break the door open, we'll divide the things inside. We're almost starving to death. We begged in the group, but she didn't want to take out any food to help us. She's so hateful. That's right. If she's heartless, don't blame us for being unrighteous. Among these people was the woman to whom I gave the anti-fever medicine. They were all holding weapons. Seeing that I didn't respond for a long time, they started to smash the door. I have to say that the bank-level anti-theft door was really reliable, even with knives, axes, and even an electric drill. It only left some marks on the door and couldn't damage the core. Several people took turns trying to break the door, but they returned empty-handed. The physical labor made them lose water from their bodies quickly, and soon someone collapsed to the ground. They surrounded the person on the ground like hungry tigers pouncing on their prey. The strong smell of blood filled the long corridor, and the wanton laughter of the demons drifted along with it. I couldn't fall asleep all night. 11. Several men led by Orion talked unscrupulously in the group about how to break into my house. They snatched the supplies of the whole building by violent means. Fewer and fewer people were speaking in the group, and there were not many survivors left. Affected by the temperature, the output function of the solar panels gradually decreased, and all the electrical appliances in the house had stopped working. Every day, I took out a frozen chicken from the refrigerator and put it in the bathtub. I soaked in the water with Luna when the temperature was the highest during the day. In addition, we drank a bottle of Wuxing liquid every day and wiped our bodies with alcohol. In this way, a week passed smoothly. Orion and his group still hadn't found a way to break the door, and there were fewer and fewer people in their team. Suddenly, a scream came from outside the door. I looked in the direction of the sound. Orion fell to the ground, and his face was instantly burned off. The people behind him scrambled to lick the blood on his face. Before Orion died, he looked in my direction, his mouth opening and closing. But he didn't say anything in the end. After that, there was no more movement in front of my door. Maybe they realized that they couldn't break in and gave up. 12. The calendar pages were torn off one by one. Before I knew it, 3 months had passed. The temperature remained around 70 degrees. The internet and electricity were cut off, and there was no sound around. Luna became a bit autistic because she hadn't been in contact with people for a long time. Compared with matters of life and death, these were trivial things. All the frozen food had been eaten, and soaking in the water couldn't cool us down anymore. We had hallucinations due to the heat recently. As her leader, I should provide some help within my ability to my subordinate. What do you think? Compared with being eaten to death in my previous life, the current ending was quite good. I opened 2 cans of fruit, made 2 bowls of instant noodles, and enjoyed the last lunch with Luna. The radio made a rustling sound. Survivors, please pay attention. The official detected that there will be clouds in the next 2 days. We will carry out artificial rainfall. Please hold on. We will eventually welcome the dawn of hope. I excitedly hugged Luna and said things that she might not understand. The higher authorities haven't stopped functioning. We still have hope of survival. In these 3 months, the official sent helicopters to airdrop supplies. But after the temperature rose to 70 degrees, they never appeared again. Now the official news not only brought the news of rainfall but also conveyed the hope of survival. There was only 1 bottle of Wuxing liquid left, and I gave it to Luna to drink. After the meal, we tried our best to soak in the water. I was drowsy and seemed to have slept for a long time. Mom, it's raining. It's raining heavily outside. It was great. The apocalypse was over. We survived.